Hello, Saber people. I have another commission build to run through. So this is for Teddy, and it is a SaberForge that he bought some years ago that basically needed a lot of love. When he received it, it was essentially just a flashlight, an expensive flashlight. All it did was light up. It was a single, there was no soundboard in it. It was literally just like the light and that's it, which is I think like the lowest tier install you can get from SaberForge, which I didn't even know they did. So when it came to me, it was a total mess inside. I maintain that SaberForge do really nice, unique hilts, really affordable, well put together hilts, but their installs are just not great. So I would always advocate for, if you're getting something from SaberForge, get the empty hilt and then get someone to install it, because you're going to get a much better result. Anyway, it came to me, it had these parts in. It's an old 12mm latching switch. They had the battery just in like a cradle that was loose and rattling around inside, and then a single LED module at the top. Very outdated, and Teddy had some attachment to the Saber and was looking to get it kind of spruced up a bit, so I did what I could. So this is it. This is the SaberForge GLADIUS. We think it's the Mark 1 possibly, but the Mark 1 did have some different marks, different scoring on the pommel and the neck. So it may actually be somewhere between a Mark 1 and a Mark 2. Mark 2 has cutouts in the middle for a crystal reveal. So this is not a Mark 2, not quite a Mark 1, somewhere in the middle. So yeah, it came to me as, like I said, as the static flashlight basically. And I took some measurements and decided kind of what we could do, spoke it through with, talked to Teddy about it, and we decided that we could do like a full proffie setup, neopixel, the works. So yeah, this is it. When it came to me, everything was epoxied and super glued together. It took the better part of 3-4 days just trying to get everything apart. I stripped off the leather wrap and reapplied that when I was done, but everything was kind of epoxy welded together. I had to go digging through the SaberForge website and find the parts sections, and find each individual part just to work out where they joined, because it was so firmly held together. Everything I was doing was just not letting this come apart. But we got there eventually. The trick was, for the epoxy that SaberForge uses, is acetone and temperature as well. So acetone soak, and then if it's still not coming, chuck it in the freezer, bring it out, and the freezer basically makes the glue that they use contract and then expand, and that makes the glue crack, and then you can just kind of snap the pieces apart and it peels off. But we got there in the end. So to run through components, we have a neopixel Shtok V3 neopixel at the top. Replaced the single latching button with 2 momentary LED switches. It's got a Proffie 2.2 18650 battery, which I've chrome wrapped for you, 28mm speaker, kill switch, and that's it. That's your lot. So if I just open it up, it now unscrews here in the middle. You unscrew, the threads are super clean now. I kind of polished up the threads and made sure they were super clean. Then it comes off to reveal the custom chassis inside. Just some little detail work. It's a pretty simple chassis. I'm really kind of getting into the flow of designing my own chassis at the moment. I'm trying to focus a lot on not having any visible wires. So the only wires you can really see on this one with the speaker up there. Everything else is totally hidden, and we've got like a discrete kill switch at the top of the Proffieboard. Really happy with how this one turned out, and given that it was just a bunch of components rattling around inside before, this is a big improvement, I would say. So the chassis is pressure fit into this piece here. It will come loose if you give it enough force, so don't, but there is a tiny amount of super glue kind of between the two just to hold them together a little bit. But should we ever need to make repairs or anything, we should be able to fit something in between and pry the chassis kind of off the rest of the hilt. So kind of planning ahead for the future. Did this one in 2 stages, wired up all the top stuff, and then wired up all the bottom stuff, and then connected them in the middle, and then put the chassis in. It was the easiest way to do it. You've got 2 retention screws up the top, an upper one and a lower one. The upper one is for your blade retention, to keep the blade plug in and a neopixel blade. The lower one is what holds the neopixel connector in. There's a tiny amount of super glue on it. Don't unthread the lower one, because then your connector will come loose and start sliding around inside, and it'll be a bit of a pain to fix that. Apart from that, I think that covers everything. So I'm going to pop a battery in and just light this up for you. We're still in the process of doing some font work. I know that you're looking at fonts to add on here. So at the moment, all I've got on here are the Kybers Workshop sound package, which is a bunch of different colors. And I've also got a few of the grayscale fonts on here as well, because those look great. With the battery config, got 2 sides on the battery, the nipple and the flat side. The nipple goes to the nipple, which in this case is pointing up towards the hilt, so kind of battery upwards. And the easiest way to get it in is start with the lower end and then kind of flick the top end in. So that one in and then click and it goes in. It's not massively snug. To get the battery out, you can kind of tap the saber on your knuckle and the battery will come out most of the way when the outer piece is off. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now that we're in, you can flick the kill switch to on and we'll boot into the first kyberphonic font. You can see we've got some button light up. I'm trying to show it off. So the button configuration is the top one is your power and the lower one is the auxiliary, and they do different things when the saber is turned on and versus when it's turned off, but it is the same config on the buttons for every font. So let's just boot into this, which is, I believe, green. There we go. And like every saber, it sounds a lot better with the lower section screwed in. So with this, when you're screwing it in, just screw it till it stops. You don't need to like over crank it or anything. Everything is kind of secured in the correct position. There's a little bit of room between the speaker and the bottom pommel. It's like a centimeter or two, but it gives it a good amount of bass. There you can see the buttons. Really durable. This one came out super strong, very solid, very happy with it. So let's pop a blade in and just show off the neopixel. So unscrewing the top connector, pop that out. I did notice on your blade plug as well, you've got some like some damage marks, potentially where it has been over tightened. So once you don't tighten this too much inside the hilt, because you'll crush the polycarbonate. So you can see inside we have a, actually, you know what I'll do? Yeah, you can see it inside there. What you want to do, there's a bunch of pins that exist on the inside there, and they'll make contact with the connector on the bottom of your blade. So you just basically put the blade in, and then you can feel it feels kind of a bit springy, and that's it compressing those pins. So you just push it, well, just push it down a little bit so it compresses the pins just a touch. You don't have to do it very hard. Push it down and then tighten the blade retention. It's a 1-inch blade in this one. It's quite a loose 1-inch blade. So make sure you've got the retention in reasonably tight, but not like over cranked. And then away you go. Blasters. Let's just run through some of the more interesting ones. When you're holding the saber upright, the auxiliary button will cycle forwards through the fonts. When you're holding it downwards, it'll cycle backwards through the fonts. This is using the THET263 button prompt, which I will send you a link to. That's got all the instructions on how this works.
Blue, red, yellow, purple, white, mercenary.
Okay. So that was all the kyberphonic ones, and now we're into the grayscale ones, just so I can show those off and some of the blade effects. And it's worth mentioning that you do have some gesture controls as well. I think twist is the main one. There you go, that's pretty much it. I think that's run through everything. When you're done with the saber, you can leave the battery in if you want. I take my batteries out just for safety more than anything. So I'll unscrew that and then flip the kill switch back to off, and that'll kill the power to the board. You can see it turns everything off, and then you can, like I said, just get the battery out with a little tap, and that gets it out most of the way, and then you can flick it out with your finger. Ooh. Or like that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you've got any questions, any concerns, give me a shout. Otherwise, we will sort the rest of the fonts for this one. I'll get those installed and configured, and then we can send it over to you. Every font has its own blade style. That are all custom. I think that's everything. It's a really nice hilt. Really happy with the way the chassis turned out, really happy with the refurb on this. It's definitely feeling like a whole new saber, which is I think what you wanted, so hopefully this kind of meets your goals. Yeah, like I said, any questions, any concerns with anything you've seen, give me a shout. We'll make some changes. Other than that, I will get it boxed up and shipped out to you as soon as I can. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. May the force be with you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.